How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Fictional Critics. My name is Jeremiah.
I'm Luke.
And today we're going to be talking about whether or not sequels make or break franchises.
Okay, so let's just get right into it then.
Yeah, kind of an bit of an odd question, odd topic to discuss, but we thought it'd be fun because it doesn't really have like a straight answer. It's just a fun thing to talk about.
And you can find there's 1,001 answers to this question everywhere. I mean, you could look at Reddit, you could look at other YouTube videos. There's blogs, people, But we wanted to kind of ask this question because we're film buffs. We love movies, and for both of us, there are
buff is a strong word. But.
Well, within our own circles anyway. And so we have a lot of sequels that are highly debatable as far as our own personal groups go.
Definitely.
And so when we're talking about film franchises and sequels, it was a question that I had thought about for a long time when we first started the channel, and yeah, it was just something that we wanted to talk about because I have very strong opinions about certain movies that I think do or do not make franchises based on whether or not they needed to be there.
Yeah, it's an odd question because obviously you can't have a franchise without sequels. But were those sequels a good? So
I mean, you
could have
the
weird way of saying
it.
Like,
like
do they make or break
disconjunct movies,
franchises?
though. Like, you don't necessarily have to have sequels. They could be like out of sequence, but in essence, that's almost what it is. It's just adding more content to it.
Whether or not they're direct sequels or even prequels or exist inside the same universe or unofficial trilogies of films, like the Cornetto trilogy.
Right.
It's like an unofficial trilogy, but it's referred to as the Cornetto trilogy because it is that. Movies are completely disconnected. The only thing that ties them together is the director and the cast and ice cream.
Yes.
That's it. So where do you want to start?
Gosh, I mean, we could just start with that.
Start with the Cornetto?
Yeah. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost.
This is a weird one because, it's not an actual, it's a franchise, but it's not because they're not really sequels. So there's not really a whole lot to talk about there. Because they're not direct sequels. Like, none of the storylines, really play off of each other.
But they're
clearly just spiritual successors to one another.
That's the thing, is that they're all based in the same kind of meta conversation that's going on between the three movies, which is that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost took the movies that kind of made their childhoods and they grew up on, and then they decided to turn those into spoof movies. So you have Shaun of the Dead, followed by Hot Fuzz, and then finished off with World's End, which is my personal favorite. The amount
Big fan of Hot Fuzz.
Good Lord, the amount of just back-to-back jokes in World's End will have you just in stitches. Me personally, I feel that way. I don't like British comedy, but I really do enjoy these guys and their movies. They're just so funny. But as to the topic of discussion, do they or do they not need to be there? It's kind of arbitrary to ask.
Well, I think because they're inconsequential to each other, it doesn't matter.
So there you go. Because there's no tying fabric between them, other than it's the same people.
Right. So
which,
it's just kind of,
if it's not your particular bag of Cheerios, then you probably won't enjoy it. But that's not to say whether or not it should or shouldn't be there. I personally think that they just make one of the best trinities of comedy movies ever made, period.
They are great.
They're so good.
And again, you can't really have a franchise without sequels, so the question's kind of odd. But the next one I actually want to jump into is, because sequels can be good and they can be bad, but it entirely depends on whether the films are good or bad. But the next one I want to go to is, I don't know if one you thought of, the Fast and Furious franchise.
Oh, God.
I don't know how many of these you've seen.
There's almost all of them except for Fast, 9 and 10?
10's
or
not
8
out.
and 9?
I think it was Fast 7, Fate of the Furious, I think was the last one that happened.
Okay, so I haven't seen 8.
Or maybe the Fast 9.
No, maybe it was 9. Okay, there's your answer right there. There are too many movies in this franchise.
But that being said, the first one was fun.
Yeah.
The first one was a perfectly...
A little campy, a little corny, but, I mean, they were trying to do that. It's the LA car scene, but in a really over-the-top way.
And then they got worse. The first one was fun. I liked the first one.
The
but then we get Too Fast, Too
worse.
Furious.
Oh,
where they're down in Florida.
Mercy.
And isn't that when Tyrese joins them?
Yes.
Is in the second one?
Yes.
And that one, it just more hammy, more campy.
Awful.
But,
just awful.
Still in a somewhat fun way.
That Nissan Skyline, though, was amazing. And to this day, that is one of my favorite cars. That just silver with the blue stripes on it. And Paul Walker actually does the power slide in the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
He made that a thing where he told the director, "I'm only going to do this if you let me do that." So he practiced, and then they let him do it, which is pretty cool.
But like, second one got a little worse. The third one got even worse. Third one, I enjoy.
Tokyo Drift
fun,
is arguably
but I don't
the best
like
one
Tokyo.
for me.
I do not believe that.
You don't like it personally?
I don't think it's the best one.
For me, I really enjoy Tokyo Drift because the Japanese car scene, I feel like, never gets enough film exposure.
Okay.
And Japanese cars are near and dear to my heart just because of what they are. There's so many of them.
But the film as a whole...
That's fine. Like, I enjoy the movie for merits that are external to it.
Fair enough.
But as a film, it does nothing for the franchise.
But,
they actually, like... What do they call it? They retconned it within the in-universe like storyline for one of the characters, and then obviously these movies are...
They didn't... They retconned it a little bit, sure, just because they were shot out of order.
They were.
You could say.
They were completely...
Because I
this
think
technically
the
falls
third
in, like,
one is
5?
technically, I think, the sixth one.
Yes.
Chronologically.
Yes.
Not the third.
That is when they first introduced
my point
Han.
being is, like, it started off fine.
Right.
And then they kind of got a little worse. Then once you get to the fourth one, like, it starts coming back up.
A little bit, yeah.
And, like, Fast 5 is, like,
7 was
probably...
amazing.
Fast 5 might be, like, one of the best ones.
Is that the one where they jumped the Bugatti from... Or no, that's not a Bugatti. That was a Lycan. And they jumped that from, like, one building to another in Dubai,
they're like
or
Dubai.
something.
Yeah, I don't remember which one. There's a lot of these movies, and they all kind of bleed together. I haven't seen the last several of them. I kind of stopped watching them after Paul Walker died.
That was the one that I saw in theaters. Was Fast 7, I think? Or was it Fast 6? Fast and Furious 6 when Paul Walker died. Comment below.
I should
tell us which one it was.
I should have looked it up.
Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember
been able to talk about
the song that was at the end of the movie was
See You
super
Again.
good. And the tribute to Paul Walker with his brother, and then they did the video capture over him to put Paul Walker's face on him.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. So,
but where it started off fine, it got worse, then it got better, and now they're like, they kind of went down, but then plateaued into just
and
this
now they're just...
like, it's just become that over-the-top action, which is fine. Like, it's not really my cup of tea. Like I said, I haven't watched the last
almost
couple
look like
of them
direct-to-video releases, though, in some extent. Like, these movies are just
it's gone...
They just lost a director, too, for the next one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because Vin Diesel
it's
is
gone
kind
up
of a
and
diva.
down.
But apparently, this film franchise, first of all, does not need 9 movies. I don't know why there's.
Well, there's going to be
movies
10.
there. Oh,
like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be 10.
Gracious, like, yeah, that's what you need is 10 versions of the same basic principle.
Hey, if it makes
family all the time.
No,
so
it's family.
so for me, I really don't think that this film franchise needed to be more than like 4 movies, honestly.
But
they should have stopped and gone out.
The good
on
ones
a
are
good
scattered
note.
out, though.
That's
the
a
good
good
ones are
point.
scattered out. So it's like it's one of those things where you have those hit
director's
and
visions
misses,
and then the storyline.
but in the end, it's like, okay, we have highs and lows all throughout it. I think it's worth it. I mean, most films are worth it in some regard.
That's fine. And honestly, these are movies that you can just turn on when you got your buddies over to the house and you can just like chill out and nerd out about cars or just watch it in peripheral to something else.
Going off that, what's your number one background movie?
Background movie. Okay, that's actually a really good question.
Because I know mine. I know mine. And I have had mine play, I think, 3 times in the same day.
Okay. So I would have to say either the very first Mummy with Brendan Fraser and...
okay. Rachel Weisz?
Yes, thank you, Rachel Weisz. I will watch that movie back to back like 3 times in a row. I love Brendan Fraser's like early movies.
Yeah.
And those early 2000s like action films were really good.
It was fun.
The first
really
Mummy
fun.
is just like this perfect mishmash of like 1920s Indiana Jones style adventure.
Keep going. Keep talking. I'll get it out.
Do you remember my train of thought? Anyway, no, I really enjoyed that movie. That's actually a sequel. That's actually a franchise. Did not need sequels at all. The second one was terrible. It was awful. They just like arbitrarily brought back the mummy who they sent back to the underworld because they needed
the second one didn't make sense. Scorpion King made a little more sense.
But Scorpion King wasn't...
Worst movie.
But that was the second one, though.
Was it?
Yeah, the Scorpion King was in the second one with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like they just like copied and pasted him with like a free like video editor.
Those were different movies.
No, it was the second one.
So Jet Li was the third one?
Yes. The Tomb of the Dragon Emperor was the third one with Jet Li.
I like that one.
That one was okay. I don't know why they replaced Rachel Weisz. Maybe someone can comment below and tell us why they replaced her.
Yeah, we don't look things up before we start talking. We just kind of go.
Yeah, well, and honestly, it's the layman's review of movies in general. But not to be confused with layman reviews. We are not them. Anyway. Mummy franchise.
Mummy?
Yeah, it's a Mummy. So, or like the Indiana Jones, the young Indiana Jones movies. Love those movies. I'll just literally go, because for me, it's like an ongoing, just single narrative stretched out over like 17 chapters, I think. And so I can just go one to one, and I'll watch them all in a single day. If I'm out like working in my garage or something, I'll just pop it in and just have it in the background.
Right. My number one like background movie is Serenity.
The follow up to Joss Whedon's Firefly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. If there's anything I need in the background, it's like I'll just put that.
I haven't seen Serenity in a really long time.
It's great.
A long time.
It's not very good, but it's great because I love it.
And Alan Tudyk is in that, isn't he?
Yeah, it's all the original cast.
Yeah, Alan Tudyk's great. Underrated actor, really funny, especially in A Knight's Tale. I'll fong you. Super funny.
Paul Bettany's better in that movie though.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Paul Bettany's like the best part of Knight's Tale.
But that's a good one. But as far as
anyway, back to franchises.
Shoot. Okay, so what's your worst? Like you hate everything about this franchise because just every movie that came after it was just successively worse and worse.
Oh.
Like everything about it just sucks.
I don't know.
Like it's a dumpster fire with noxious fumes.
That's gotten progressively worse. I didn't.
Obviously, this is a personal preference, but
well, what's yours to give me time to think about? Because that's not that's an angle that I didn't think about.
For me, it's the new Star Wars movies. I mean, every single one of them has just been successively worse and worse. The mainline trilogy, not the original films that were directed and written by George Lucas.
Those are all one series.
It is one series, but it's sequels within a narrative. I thought that's what we were kind of like going for there.
Well, yeah, but you're talking like sequel trilogies.
Okay, but just sequel movies in general, the Star Wars movies are just bad. But I guess if we're to talk about something that's like not related, the Highlander movies.
I mean, you can go with Star Wars. It does kind of track where, like, at first, like, the sequels got better because Empire was better than A New Hope and Jedi. To some, is better than Empire.
Total bullcrap, by the way, that Empire Strike Back was divisive and upset people. That is horse crap. That is a total propaganda spiel to try to justify the horrendous movie that was the last or was it the Last
Jedi was the
by,
second one of the
Rian Johnson, which I think he just didn't get the collectible Luke Skywalker action figure he wanted as a little boy because he just has a hate on for Luke in that movie. But anyway, we'll talk about Star Wars at a later date.
I really like Luke's arc in Last Jedi. I hated it. I think it's good.
It was garbage.
Most of the movie's bad, but all the Luke stuff I actually like.
It was such trash compared to the books, compared to even if you just compare him to the original trilogy and you don't look at any of the expanded universe material, horrible, absolutely horrible. Like just defeatist, almost a child murderer, just a broken down old man who can't do anything and blames himself for all the problems of the world. He's not an optimist any longer. Like all of his original like character building moments in the original trilogy, and then they brought them forward in The Last Jedi, and it was just, we're gonna make him, just a beta, and we're gonna take away his masculinity, and we're gonna make him super just depressed and angry about everything, and then we're going to kill him at the very end. Because reasons.
The him dying part doesn't make sense.
They
makes less
completely.
sense.
Oh, they would have made so much money. All they had to do, literally, all they had to do was get Luke, Han, and Leia on screen at the same time. That's all they had to do. They had one shot, one chance to pull it off, one chance.
You still would have hated it.
I would have personally disliked it, yes, still, because they had no vision. And I mean, we're on the very far end of what was like almost a decade of Disney filmmaking for those. And they have been very honest and transparent about it now after the fact. They're like, oh, we got your money. But they, because people are dumb and they'll go to the theaters for Star Wars. And we had this discussion the other day when we were talking about, what were we talking about? We were talking about, we were talking about the first in the sequel trilogy, the, what's it called? The Force Awakens. Yeah. And how people just thronged to the movie theaters because it was Star Wars. And we hadn't seen anything since 2003 on the big screen, a new Star Wars movie.
Around there, I don't remember the exact date.
But it was still it was bad. It was not good. But people loved it because it was Star Wars.
For the longest time, Force Awakens was my favorite of the sequel trilogy.
It's still my favorite of the sequel trilogy. If you forced me
And
to
it
sit
still
down
might
and only
be,
pick one,
but
that one would be the
Force
only
Awakens
one.
gets progressively worse the more you watch it.
They set up so many cool things. Like J.J. Abrams, who arguably is only good at co-opting other people's stories. He's not really good at writing his own stuff. He just takes other people's narratives and then just kind of turns it around. He's done that with a lot of stuff. Well, we can have a conversation about directors at a later date. You can comment below and tell us if you'd like to see us talk about directors in general and who ruined franchises. But that being said, he had a really good vision for this movie. He set up Finn to be like a Jedi. I mean, he picked up the lightsaber and we're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna fight Kylo Ren, and then he ends up getting cut down and we don't know if he's gonna live or die. And then they just totally sidelined him in The Last Jedi. And part of that was to please China, because China doesn't like black people apparently. Super racist. They even shrunk him in the movie posters so that there wasn't an African American on the promo art for the Star Wars movie. Whatever. They were just trash movies. But that's personally my opinion. But you were collecting your thoughts there in between the diatribe of Star Wars there.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it one bit. Franchises that have consistently gotten worse. Star Wars has not consistently gotten worse. It's had its ups and downs. The original trilogy, clearly the best trilogy.
I know a lot of people would personally totally disagree with you on that.
Well, do you consider Empire and Jedi to be worse than New Hope?
No.
Then it has not consistently gotten worse.
Well, post George Lucas sale. That I should amend my statement by saying that. Post sale to Disney.
Disney Star Wars is worse than pre-Disney Star Wars.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Oh, you'd be surprised. There's some pretty rabid people out there.
I like all those Star Wars movies. I have not seen a Star Wars movie that I have not liked.
Personally, I think those people are NPCs. I think they just go to movie theaters and then they like to rave about how they love the movie, but they don't buy the merch, they don't play the video games, they don't read the books, they don't buy
just like the movies.
They're not customers of Star Wars.
No.
They're consumers of entertainment, which does not make you a critic of a thing. It's
well, I like just the movies.
That's fine.
I consume nothing else. I'm not a big enough fan of really anything to consume every aspect of it. I just like the movies.
And I'm absolutely a junkie for Star Wars. My personal business is making and selling lightsabers. Yeah. I have consistently collected books and memorabilia since I was probably 5 years old. Mm-hmm. It's a life-shaping thing for me. Even I think the Imperial March was played at my wedding as a joke.
It was
by one of my friends.
It was.
So, but yeah, no, the Disney sequel trilogy is just kind of hot trash. But another one that I absolutely just hated that I think is just objectively so bad that it's impossible to watch. Just impossible to watch. The Highlander movies that came after the very first one.
I think I've only seen 2 of them.
There's the very first Highlander with Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery, followed by The Quickening, which was the second one, I believe.
Yes,
and then there was a third one that was a kind of a retcon of the second one, which was slightly better but still awful.
I don't think so.
So bad. And then there was the fourth one, which was called The Source, which had both Christopher Lambert.
Did not. I know which one. I've seen the poster. I've
seen the
cover,
yeah.
But
and
never
it had Christopher Lambert, other side Adrian Paul, who I've met, super cool guy, and the TV show Highlander, also incredibly good.
I was gonna say my top 3 shows of all time. Top 5.
I'd give it top 5 as well, for sure. All the way up to season 9, and it kind of starts to
it dwindles towards the end,
but then most shows do.
Top 5.
But
yeah, Adrian Paul as Highlander in this
he's a super nice guy
so
too.
Much better, much better than Christopher Lambert.
Yes, Lambert, I believe.
Lambert, he's European.
I am not sure. I think is he Polish?
I don't know. Do we want to be pretentious or not?
No, not really. We're Americans.
Lambert.
But I met him. I met Paul Adrian Paul. Yeah, he had
XCon or something.
Yeah, Comic-Con, Salt Lake City, 3-4 years ago. Really, really nice guy. Corrected me on the pronunciation of "there can only be one." Instead of, I think I approached him and I had him sign the photo, and I said, "There can only be one," or I said like some version of that, and then he corrected me, but he was super nice about it, like really professional.
There can be only one.
Yes, there can be only one.
That's what it is.
I think I said there can only be one, which I believe Christopher Lambert says maybe once or twice. I think he may have gotten it backwards.
He probably said it multiple times.
He also didn't speak English when he was cast as Connor McLeod in the first movie.
And
he
true.
memorized all his lines in English. That's amazing. And his English pronunciation was really good too.
Yeah, it was for a bad movie. It was good.
Not a Scottish accent though to be found in the movie, except for his Klansmen, who were probably just like extras from America who did a better job than he did. But
probably.
But the Queen soundtrack alone is worth it.
Princes of the Universe?
Yes. Who Wants to Live Forever? Oh, I get chills thinking about it. It's such a good song. But those
many enjoyable things in really bad movies.
Yeah, just a really bad movie. But the following sequels they're just so bad. And apparently they're trying to reboot it, the series. And they're going to get Superman.
Henry Cavill?
Yeah, Henry Cavill to play Connor McLeod.
Really?
Yes. And it's been.
Are they going to go Connor McLeod or just another McLeod?
No. They're gonna actually do the original Highlander movie, but they're going to completely redo it, and this time not screw it up. Apparently, this movie's been in pre-production for a decade or more, and Henry Cavill's been signed on to do it for a long time.
Well, in the meantime, Henry Cavill's been busy being, Superman and Geralt of Rivia, so.
Right. But those films are hard to watch. Even for me, I will watch campy 80s movies.
Enjoyable things.
Very few. I mean, the second one is nigh unwatchable.
Watch the TV show. Watch the TV show. You don't even have to watch the movies. Watch the TV show, and everything is just infinitely better.
Oh yes. Everything about it. They explain the lore. They explain the
And Christopher
history.
Lambert is in the pilot episode to kind of introduce people coming over from the films into it. So, and if you go into a cold, all you need to know is exactly what they tell you, which is they're both from the same ancient clan MacLeod in Scotland.
Super cool
or something.
premise. Super poor execution. Really bad execution.
Yeah.
Like a kid fresh out of film school probably could have come up with a better plot and better cinematography than they had in the following movies. But I digress. I can rant about that.
Yeah.
You go. Worst film series of all time. Like sequels that objectively destroyed what came before and made it unwatchable.
See, I don't know if I could say it definitively because I haven't seen all of the films in most franchises.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so
where it's like my gut instinct is to say Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's true because I've heard that some of the latter Paranormal Activity films were good, and I actually really enjoyed the first one. Like, I don't know if you ever watched any Paranormal Activity.
Not into that.
The first one I liked. It's, found footage film style.
Yeah.
They made the
Blair Witch Project style.
Kind of. But better.
Okay.
But,
hard to do.
But better.
Blair Witch was done with a $6 budget and a cell phone recorder.
They made Paranormal Activity for I think $14,000.
Okay, that's really
made
cheap.
$200 million.
Oh wow!
Off of it, something like that, which is why there's 4 or 5 sequels.
Be so lucky, right?
But that's where my gut wants to go. But I know that's not true because some of the latter films have been, at least on par, if not maybe a little bit better than the first couple. So I don't know if I have definitive worst franchise. Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Worst film franchise.
Again,
because I've
with
seen
Christopher Lambert.
all 3 of them because there's the Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and then the 2020 remake, which had some fun parts. Not a good movie.
No,
not a good movie.
It was fun to watch Scorpion do the catchphrase, the
"Get over here,"
and then throw the chain. That was cool.
You have to wait 90 minutes to get there.
Yeah, really, that's it. Yeah, and then the one guy with the laser, I can't remember his name. He was so funny in that movie.
Yeah.
He was hilarious in that movie. He was so funny.
Yeah, Kano, best part of that.
But the Mortal Kombat movies, they're hot trash.
There's things to enjoy in them, but the first one, the third one's probably actually the better one.
Yeah.
Honestly, which doesn't mean it's consistently gotten worse, but they're all bad. None of them are good films. They were just fun in different ways, except for Annihilation. Don't watch Annihilation.
Yeah. Is that the one that has Christopher Lambert in it, or is that the second one?
No, well, he's the... Well, Annihilation's the second one.
Okay, yeah, no, is he in Annihilation, or is he in the
He's
original?
in the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, because he plays the god Raiden.
Right, he's Raiden. I forgot about that, because they got a white guy to play the Japanese god of thunder. Okay, cool. I was actually just thinking about this while you were talking about it. Like, we both love martial arts films. What's your worst martial arts film trilogy?
Ooh, I don't know.
Not trilogy necessarily, but like ongoing set of.
I'm gonna go
movies.
best.
Okay, best. That's easier to do.
Yeah.
Best.
Once Upon a Time in China.
That's a good one.
Maybe not, but definitely one of.
Jet Li.
I love Once
early
Upon a Time
90s.
in China films. They're
Good
all
stuff.
wonderful. All of the Ip Man films, they're all not.
Third one is kind of iffy for me because
they're all not the same.
Yeah.
Did our light just change?
I don't think so.
Or maybe my eyesight's... I saw a really bright light of like, whoa, what's going on? Maybe, I'm losing it. Anyway.
That's the one that has Mike Tyson in it, though, right? The third one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one wasn't nearly...
Where all of those have not gotten consistently better.
I think they just were kind of at a lack for directions.
But
like,
I think
they needed
they're all
a reason to make
good.
another Ip Man film.
Donnie Yen's amazing.
He
in all
is
of them.
amazing. But I think they just needed a reason to make another Ip Man film. They were like, hey, the last one made a lot of money. Let's make another one.
The first two make sense. And, they're loosely based on his life. But he's surrounded by real historical events.
Very loosely, I might add. Like, I've done Wing Chun, and I've studied the history of it. Mm-hmm. It's very fictionalized, like hyper-fictionalized. But yes, Ip Man was in China during the occupation, and his son Ip Ching did train Bruce Lee. There are some canonical consistencies throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, they get the broad strokes correct.
Yeah, very broadly, but I'm sorry, nobody walks away from a fight with 100 black belt karate guys and doesn't
10.
get a single... Was it 10?
10.
Was it 10? Yeah.
It
Looked
10.
like 100. 10. Nobody walks away from a fight with 10 of them and doesn't get beaten to a pulp or just outright killed.
That's your Donnie Yen.
Plot armor.
Not necessarily Ip Man, but Donnie Yen.
yes, specifically Donnie Yen. But
yeah,
shoot, no, those movies are good, but they kind of like
Once Upon a Time in China. That's like off the top of my head. That's where my brain goes for like one of the best martial arts.
Another sequel that
series.
I think really didn't help or do anything for the previous film was Shanghai Nights. The direct
I've seen
sequel.
both of these. I remember nothing about them except that it's Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. That's
right.
all I remember.
Another kind of buddy
points.
cop comedy duo kind of thing, and Owen Wilson was kind of in his prime at that time period, and Jackie Chan was coming off the success of I believe Around the World in 80 Days, which is a phenomenal.
What was after?
I think it was before. Correct me. I could be totally mistaken on this, but I
they
know
all
that,
are around the same time period.
Middle of the 2000s, and Jackie Chan was really popular in American cinema at that time. I mean, he made a long string of 90s movies that just were consistent hits in the American market. And then he made Shanghai Noon, which was arguably the only reason that there should have been a Owen Wilson Jackie Chan film, because it was just Owen Wilson as a just horrible excuse for a bad guy cowboy, just outlaw in a movie, and then Jackie Chan with a campy name like Chun Wang instead of John Wayne. It was funny and it was good, and that was it. It didn't need a sequel. Just let it go. Just walk away while it's still popular. And then they made the British version because Charlie Chaplin as a kid needed to be in it. And they needed to meet Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Nothing.
It was just a nonstop like slideshow of, hey, this pop culture reference from British television or British, anything. It's in this movie, and it wasn't necessary. And then there was just Owen Wilson being Owen Wilson, and then Jackie Chan didn't get nearly enough, actual screen time doing Jackie Chan stuff.
A film series
Wasn't that great?
Consistently got better. Some may argue that it peaked in the middle, but it didn't steadily decline from there. It stayed very good, at least for my taste. Harry Potter films.
Oh yeah, that's a great, actually. Let's talk about Harry Potter for a minute.
Because and they're all good.
First of all, have you read the books?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you? So you haven't read any of them at all? Okay.
None of them.
So
no, not a one.
I broke a rule that I have tried to live by my whole life, which is where I do not watch movies based on books until I've read the book first.
Okay, so you watched the movies first.
I watched the movies first, and I was a kid when the movies came out. Like, I think the Sorcerer's Stone, or the, I think there's a different name for it.
Philosopher's Stone.
Thank you, Philosopher's Stone, depending on which release of the book you're talking about. But in the U.S. market, the Sorcerer's Stone, that one came out, I believe, when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I was born in 94, and I believe the Sorcerer's Stone was released in 97, 98.
I don't know.
I can't remember. I honestly don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Do not know the release of the books.
At all. Yeah. But I watched the movie first, and I was hooked instantly.
They're all really good.
The magic of the Harry Potter world is just by far one of my favorite film franchises. I watch it every year around November, which a close friend of mine, I found out he did the same thing, and then we both realized that the reason we did that is because the Hallmark Channel released the first 4 movies, like, in the following weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, and so it's kind of like a holiday tradition, and we watch them.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I love the Harry Potter movies, and they get just better and better with each one.
Yeah, and like film quality wise, they 100% get better with each one.
Yeah, the CGI.
Your favorites may vary. Like, I think I'm partial to Azkaban.
That's fair. I really struggle to pick my favorite between,
like, maybe Azkaban and Part 1.
Okay, so for me, it's the Half-Blood Prince and Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay.
Because...
Oh, Half-Blood Prince is good.
That one's really good. I love all the backstory, and then you get to watch just the characters really coming into their own as people. They're not being talked to as children anymore, and you really get invested in the characters. It was just like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing, where you kind of... My generation grew up, ours did, grew up with them as they went through, and by the time we were, in our senior year of high school, the last book was coming out, and it was really impressive. Really a high degree of investment from the audience, and the music is just stupendous. Yeah. I mean, John Williams directed and scored the original theme for the first movie. He didn't do the other ones, but he just did the first one.
I believe so, but everything was obviously based off of.
And you can't tell. That's how good the guys were that they got to do the music, or whoever they were, that did the music for the successive Harry Potter films. Honestly, I couldn't tell. They took John Williams' original score and they just did magic. Yeah. It was pure magic. That just great movies.
Everything about the movies got better, to the production and set design, to the budget, obviously, and the CGI,
the acting,
and what
too.
they could do. The acting got better. The music remained consistently good, and
you get to watch Neville go from being like a potato to a full-blown Chad at the very end. That's
from a favorite character to a thin potato.
This is my favorite character arc. I've actually heard some people say, and I think my wife showed this to me actually. Some people think the reason why Neville is so lost and confused throughout the entire time is because he's actually in therapy for having witnessed his parents have the Cruciatus Curse performed on them, and so he has Obliviate performed on him to forget the trauma in like therapy.
Really?
Yeah, I read that somewhere. I don't.
That's
it's probably not true, but it would explain why
it's a fun fan theory.
Why he's so like kind of lost and just all over the place in the original movies. He never knows what's going on, and then he kind of just slowly becomes
I think he's just kind of a dope.
Well, Anyway, I mean, we could talk about that. We should do an episode on just like conspiracy theories or just like fan theories in general. Like pick our top 5 fan theories. That would be cool. But no, Harry Potter's great. Do you have another one? Just like, do you have like just a random quote, do you have like a random series that from a specific genre that you really hated?
Well, that I really like, a series, another franchise that I just don't like.
Or like that just the
progressively
sequels,
worse.
Yeah, sequels made it worse.
Die Hard.
Okay, that's fair. Yep. First 2 films, the only ones that should have existed. They should have stopped and just gone out on a high note. Bruce Willis had a little bit of hair, and they should have walked away. Yes, the second one in the airport.
Right, and then what was the third one? It's Die Hard with a Vengeance. Right, that is the second one.
Yep. And
then it's Die
Harder.
No,
I don't remember. No. Honestly, I don't remember.
No, I'm gonna grab my. I grab my phone for this.
Honestly, the first 2 were the only ones I think that should have been made.
Give me a second.
I mean, like I said, Bruce Willis still had hair, and they just should have quit while they were ahead. The Godzilla movies, though, from the Toho films from the 1950s.
Not seen a single one.
Really?
Nope.
Oh,
was never my bag growing up.
I loved Japanese movies growing up. I didn't watch Kurosawa's like samurai trilogies.
We were wrong. I'm glad I looked it up. So I thought I was wrong, but I was like, if Die Hard, then just Die Hard 2.
Okay.
That is the one.
And then Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is Samuel L. Jackson.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then Live Free or Die Hard, which I actually really like.
Is that the one with the...
Live Free or Die Hard is the one with...
the bomber planting the bombs all over the city, and then they like... or is that the third one?
I think it's the third one. I think it's Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Okay.
No, the fourth one, Live Free or Die Hard. Who I'm trying to remember his name.
I know who you're talking about.
Kevin Smith is in it. He plays the warlock, the dude in the basement.
That's right.
And then I forget, is it the name of the kid in it?
Yeah, he's from
the kid
Herbie
that plays
Fully Loaded.
Brandon in Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, that's
What's
right.
his name?
I can't remember.
What's Justin Long?
What's his name?
No.
Comment below if you know who we're talking about. If you've seen Galaxy Quest.
I could just like click on the thing and do the thing.
That's no fun. But then we like rob people of the
I
chance
was right.
to interact.
Justin Long.
Okay, there you go. Fine.
Ha, got it. But yeah, and then A Good Day to Die Hard was the fifth one, and that's the one in Russia, maybe, or has something to do with Russia. I didn't watch that one, but that's a franchise where they all kind of consistently get worse. Though Live Free or Die Hard, I do really enjoy. For whatever reason, I just like it.
I think the first two are the only ones that should stop. I made two good movies. Walk away.
I know I've seen them. I've seen the first four, not the fifth one, but I've seen the first four. But I couldn't tell you. Like all I remember is the first one and the fourth one.
I've got one for you that I guarantee that we have.
Good or bad?
Bad. Just definitely
okay.
bad. Disney direct-to-movie sequels to original things.
Give me an example.
Okay, so Peter Pan, Return to Neverland, the second one.
Didn't watch it.
Awful, really bad. Just for no reason. Just films that were made by Disney in this kind of interim period where they were at a lack.
Did they make like a second Fox and the Hound?
They did.
That must have been terrible.
Yeah, they made a second.
I didn't
Fox
watch it, but I just remember they did that.
They made a second Little Mermaid. Yep, they made a Hercules.
They did a second Mulan.
Yeah, they did, and that one was.
They made two more Lion Kings.
Yep. And then they made a cartoon, and then they like tried to milk it for all they were worth. They tried doing like an Aladdin TV show, which I remember watching as a kid.
I actually don't think the Aladdin sequel films are that bad.
So I actually really like the Return of Jafar.
I was going to say Return of Jafar is actually I like it.
And isn't Robin Williams still the genie in Aladdin?
I want to say yes,
one of my favorite,
but I could be wrong.
One of my favorite '90s Disney films for sure is Aladdin, the very first one. And I didn't see the
That's
live
fair.
action. But from what I heard,
I did not.
It was pretty good. From general comments of people that I know that kind of hold the same views I do on movies, they said it was good. They said that Will Smith did a good job as the genie, and it was funny.
I haven't seen the majority of the Disney live action remakes, just because if they're remaking the exact same film, I've already seen it.
Exactly.
Which is the only reason why I watched the remake of Mulan, because I heard it was different.
Yeah,
which is why people didn't like it, but that's why I watched it, because
at
you
least
actually
they
did something different with it, so you're
new.
justifying like having made it instead of just making like a shot-for-shot remake of Cinderella.
Cinderella was okay.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was. I watched that one. I think that Emma Watson does a good job as Belle.
I don't know who played the Beast, but
it's Skarsgård's son.
Which one?
I think Bill.
No.
I think it is.
No way, it's Bill's.
I think it is one of Skarsgård's kids.
There's no way it's Bill Skarsgård. No way that's Pennywise.
Look it up real quick. I don't think it was Pennywise.
Bill plays Pennywise.
I think it was his brother then.
Or was it a Sarsgaard?
Maybe it was
Alexander Sarsgaard.
Maybe it was Sarsgaard.
That might be who you're thinking of.
But he looks like his dad. But anyway,
their names are confusing.
Very confusing.
Skarsgård. There's a one-letter difference. Give us a break.
Yeah. Watch the first. One of my favorite Disney movies was Beauty and the Beast growing up. I thought it was good. It was dark. It was edgy for a Disney film.
Yeah.
And that was one of the ones that I really enjoyed watching because I have two sisters, and for whatever reason, they always got dibs on what we watched.
We were way off. It was Dan Stevens.
Okay. He looked like a Skarsgård, whatever.
Man.
Anyway, that guy, he was kind of a weird choice for the Beast. I don't think he really
should stop trying to guess.
Really there, yeah, we really should.
That guy.
That guy.
You know, the name, the dude.
But you're right though. When it's just
But
a
not
shot-for-shot remake, it's just a shameless cash grab. Like, why? Okay.
Yeah, which is again why I haven't seen most of them. One, I just don't really care all that much, and if you're telling me it's the same story, that's not really enough for me to get me into the theater.
Yeah.
If it's different, I'll watch it. I didn't go to the theater for Mulan. I watched it on Disney Plus.
In general, my thought on sequels in general is that if your first film was good, you have to come up with a really good reason, unless you built into the bones of the first one a direct sequel.
Right. It's that thing of, we'll use Lord of the Rings as an example, because the 3 Lord of the Rings films were made to be a trilogy. Like, they didn't just like make one and we're gonna make the second one.
It made money. No,
they made
that was
all
a plan.
3 of them at the same time.
Right.
They made them all together. That was the plan. So that's one way of doing it, is having an actual vision for what you want to do and doing that. Another one is what you just said, where the first one is good, but the second one has to be able to justify its existence.
Yeah.
Like, it has to tie in, and it has a lot to do with whoever's making the sequel, and how well are you drawing from the storylines that you have in existence and the characters, and how well are you translating those over and maintaining some kind of consistency inside of that. Because if you're not, and you're just changing too much about some of the characters and their personalities and who we know them to be, and existing storylines that are in place, then that's where things just fall apart. And it's like, well, okay, you're making a movie and you're telling me it connects to that movie, but it doesn't. Like, what you're telling me does not match what you're showing.
Case in point, a lot of the Disney direct-to-video releases that were sequels of the original, like, blockbuster movies. Like,
right, yeah.
And they weren't blockbusters, but they were definitely successful. My favorite of which is Tarzan. The original Tarzan, with a score by Phil Collins.
Mel Gibson as Tarzan, right?
I believe so. Fantastic movie. Easily my top 5 favorite animated movies that I grew up with. For me, personally.
That's
I watched
fair.
a lot of Disney movies growing up.
Yeah.
And Tarzan, easily one of my favorites. Mulan, too. I remember my dad took me to see it in the theaters when it first came out. Love that film. To this day, Eddie Murphy as Mushu, favorite character of all time in a Disney film.
That's pretty great.
It's so funny. But Tarzan, specifically, just the music and the atmosphere of it, they did such a good job with that one. And the second one made no sense. It was like it was a prequel, but it was just a bunch of random stuff about Tarzan growing up with monkeys.
I think I've seen the second one too, and clearly it must not have been great. I remember nothing about it.
We're not the target audience though, and even I feel like, but the kids are not dumb.
Yeah, but like, when did Tarzan come out?
Shoot, 2000, 2005, 2004, something like that.
So 2004, I was 12.
Yeah, that's
like, we are the target. Yeah, you were 10, I was 12. Like, we were the target audience a little bit.
I don't know though. Like, if I would have seen Tarzan 2,
I think so. Well, the original though.
Yeah, no, the original Tarzan. I remember watching that and I liked it, but when I saw the second one, I didn't get it. Like, it didn't make sense. It wasn't, and like I said, it's not baked into the bones. There's no reason to come up with a direct sequel. It was the book. The story of Tarzan is actually based on a book. It was from Edgar Rice Burroughs, which is one of the very first American fiction authors. He also wrote John Carter of Mars, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, I could be wrong, but I know I've read John Carter of Mars and Tarzan, both really good books, but I believe they're written by the same guy. You can fact check me below.
Let us know.
Comment below. Yeah. But anyway, Edgar Rice Burroughs. But could be a what do they call his pen name? Like when they, like the guy who did Lewis Carroll wasn't actual name of the dude who wrote Alice in Wonderland.
Well, pseudonym is one name for it, but that's not the term you're looking for.
Anyway, it could be one of those, but what we were talking about was that movies that don't intrinsically possess a reason to have a direct sequel do not make any sense. I just don't understand why they do that. Like the Fast and Furious movies. First one was a one-off movie, and it made money, so they decided to make another.
There was never really a
crappy
need to make
sequel.
another one. But they kept making them, and eventually they got good.
Yeah, eventually.
That's a silver lining.
Sure, all right. I mean, we get to see more cool cars and Paul Walker being Paul Walker until the end of 7, which is when I stopped watching them.
Yeah, until, unfortunately, he actually died.
Yeah, for real, which is tragic, and it was really tragic how it happened.
Yeah. And then
sad.
I cried at the end of that movie.
I did too.
Sat in the theater with my buddy
Teared
in
up.
Vegas. while the "See You Again" was playing at the end of the movie. It's like, no.
I think most
not
of
a
the people
dry eye in the
yeah,
scene.
I was gonna say most people they expected to go see like a movie with like fast cars and hot women, and you cry at the end of the movie. Like, what is this? Subversion of expectations. But other than the Disney movies, I can't think of another one off the top of my head that just sticks out as being like a really, unless we're gonna talk about television.
We won't include television.
All right, we'll leave that aside then.
Do you have any other franchises that kind of go up and down?
Up and
Where
down?
it's like it's not a straight ascension
The original
or
Superman
descension,
movies.
but just kind of the some good and not great.
The original Superman movies.
Okay, Christopher Reeves.
Yep, Christopher Reeves. The very first one was great, and then the second one I believe had Richard Pryor in it as a computer programmer.
That's the second one.
And Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor.
Yeah. I know Richard Pryor was in one of them. The second one?
Yes. And then the third one, I believe, was The Return of Superman, which was arguably better. There was a little bit more character development there. The villain that they had, I don't remember who it was or who he was played by, but I do remember that the second one was a real lull. I didn't really get it. I think it was just weird. They tried to introduce Zod in the second one with Gene Hackman's character. He was trying to play them off against each other. If I'm not mistaken, I could be totally wrong. It's been a very long time since I've seen these Christopher Reeves movies, but Christopher Reeves will always be Superman to me, followed by Henry Cavill. I think the other guy though doesn't get enough credit for being Superman.
Brandon Routh?
Yeah, in Man of Steel. Was it Man of Steel?
No, that's
okay. The one that came before was it Superman?
Superman Returns.
That's what it was. Okay,
that's Brandon Routh.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I don't know why he got
sidelined. I don't know. I've seen it. I don't remember much about it. I remember liking it when I watched it.
Henry Cavill and Christopher Reeves are the two best depictions on screen of Superman.
Yeah.
The Superman movies, we could talk about DC and how they went kind of wiggy-wonky with what they were trying to do and then totally screwed over one of our favorite directors from, he did Zack Snyder.
He's one of my favorite directors.
You told me at one point that he was. You said you love Zack Snyder movies. Sucker Punch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's just the one movie then. I like Zack Snyder movies.
Yeah. Don't get me... Yeah. I don't know if he's one of my favorite, but I do I've enjoyed everything from him that I've seen.
You either love or hate Zack Snyder's movies. He doesn't tell narratives in a traditional way. He uses the visuals to tell the story.
I really like Man of Steel.
The first one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was really good too. Really good actually. And personally, I think that who they picked to be, I forget.
Michael Shannon.
No.
Who are you thinking of? Which character?
The in-universe name of Superman, Clark Kent, his dad, played by.
Oh, Kevin Costner.
Yes, Kevin Costner.
I thought you were going with Zod. That's
no,
Michael Shannon.
I love Kevin Costner. I don't think I've seen a movie that he's in that I didn't like. And that's includes fair. Waterworld. Waterworld sucks, but it's not because
there's some fun stuff in Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld's interesting, and we could talk about that.
Like when they drop the fire down the pipe to the poor guy in the oil. The poor guy in the oil, and he sees the flames, and he's like, "Oh, finally!" And he's just so happy to die.
There's some really interesting moments in that movie. Waterworld was an interesting one for sure, but Kevin Costner as Superman's dad, there were some moments I genuinely cried watching, just how down to earth Kevin Costner is as an actor, and if you watch some of his stuff, he's kind of like that in real life too.
Okay.
Especially opposite Whitney Houston in Bodyguard. That was another really good movie. Really good one. If you guys haven't seen that,
it's worth the watch.
I think 100% was it Whitney Houston's only film debut? Was it the only movie she ever made?
You can only have one film debut.
Well, okay, that's fair. But I mean,
was it the only film that she was in?
Made? Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
It very well could be, but I don't know.
But she's great though. She does a great job.
Yeah.
And you get to see her sing for real, and it's not like lip sync like Whitney Houston's actually.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah, she's actually singing, and one of the best singers of all time. But Kevin Costner in that movie as the bodyguard, he's just Kevin Costner. He just does himself perfectly well, and it's great. So one of those actors where you write a character to be played by that person because you just typecast him.
We've been walking around the very obvious discussion for sequels and films based Marvel is the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's a good one
right now, and perhaps might ever be.
Phase 1, 2, and 3, I think I enjoyed every movie that was in, with the exception of, I think, maybe 2, just because they were a little bit, I think on, like, the original 4, I didn't really like quite as much. It was just felt a little bit...
And see, Marvel's a weird one, too, because you have, like, your own series inside the like, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
It's, like, one big franchise,
Yeah.
but then you have, like, Captain America movies, and you have, like, the Iron Man movies, and you have the Thor movies, and so it's kind of weird because you have your series that fit inside the larger picture, but, like, it kind of fits in where they've done a fantastic job of making sure that everything they're making plays off of what they've done before.
The master
consistency,
management and
the consistency in storytelling.
No matter what you think about the narrative,
there's a couple of retcons, but they do it very well. And it doesn't actually change anything that happened.
Well, and more importantly too, the amount of administration that it would take, the amount of administration it would take to take how many movies that we're talking about, like 30 films?
I think there's
20, of like 15 years.
I think there's 28 films right now.
Okay, yeah, so
over the course of 14. So far, it's 14 years, 28 films, and 5 television shows.
That's a long time.
I think that's right.
To be consistently making movies in a single theme, in a single...
And to have the very first one they did, Iron Man, still be in pretty much everybody's top 5 still.
Yeah, Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, RDJ,
really
like
good.
that's still one of the better...
I don't get why people hate on Iron Man 3. The one with the kid. I thought that one was really good. Yeah. That's the reaction I get from a lot of people. I thought it was good.
And that's one thing that you can kind of say about Marvel.
With the Mandarin in it?
Like, a lot of their movies, like, I don't know if Marvel has made an objectively bad movie.
That's debatable. Well, that'd be more from content
for
choice.
As much as we talked about, like, Multiverse of Madness when we reviewed that, like, even though we weren't crazy on it, it's like, I don't think that they have objectively made a bad film.
Like, as compared to what, per se? Like, bad comes in shades of...
Well, like, not based on content, but based on the actual quality of the filmmaking.
Oh, sure.
Everything they've done has been excellent in terms of production,
content's
music,
the only thing that you could really have a complaint about.
And that's just, like, personal taste and whether or not you actually like what they're doing.
Exactly.
But fair enough. You can not like something just because you don't like what's going on. That's fine.
And in the wake of our review for...
like, Multiverse of Madness, like... We weren't, both of us, I probably enjoyed it more than you did.
You definitely enjoyed it more than me.
We weren't too hot on the film as a whole, but overall, like, it's a well-made movie. Like,
it's all there. Movie. The money's behind it, and it's for as disjunct as the 3 visions for the film were, and as much overbearing corporate oversight as there is to, like, check the boxes on a bunch of different things. The movie still works, and, you know... you can criticize a film till you're blue in the face, but I'd like to see you make one better.
That's fair.
And I will say, I really didn't like the content, but that's the only thing I had a gripe with. Like, I was entertained by the visuals, the cinematography, the editing was all good. It was all there. It just, the content itself was where I kind of like... It's like,
I know we both gave pretty good scores, but like I did
so I guess we could kind of like wrap this up and say, kind of objectively...
one more out.
Okay,
cool.
Do
you have any more?
No, I'm tapped out.
That you want to kind of dive into?
Yeah.
Really?
I could talk about Star Trek.
I mean, there's plenty we could talk about. This is true.
But. Well, the thing is, I'm kind of omitting, because we said this earlier. I'm omitting anything that contains a TV show as a sequel.
Yeah. Fair.
So, like the original Stargate, the movie, the actual movie Stargate,
with Kurt Russell,
so good. The TV show, so good. But I omit that because, like we agreed, we're not going to talk about television shows.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call the original Stargate film so good. Maybe just good.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was really good. Like, clearly the budget was there for that, and it dipped a little bit for the TV show. A little bit. Then it got so much better.
Stargate SG-1 is my #1 favorite television show of all time.
It's up there for me, too.
That's how much I like it.
I've watched almost all the movies. I've seen almost all the seasons, except for the ones where Richard Dean Anderson goes away and Michael steps in.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen as many of those with the Ori. I just haven't seen as many.
Oh, the stuff with the Ori is great.
Yeah,
because that's where you get the Atlantis spinoff as well.
Yeah, and see, I watched every episode of Atlantis, which is where Jason Momoa debuted.
First time I remember seeing him. He's a lot smaller.
Yeah, he was a lot smaller. He had a great character as Ronin, I believe. Super cool. That's right. Super cool gun, super cool swords. Anyway.
Yeah.
You were going to say, though, you were talking about something else, though, and I interjected. Sorry.
About one more that I wanted to bring up that was kind of up in... that has only objectively one bad movie in
Okay.
it. And I think there are 8 films
8
in the franchise at this point.
Okay.
And there's one objectively bad film.
Okay.
The Rocky franchise.
Oh man,
The
how did
first
we miss
one
that?
is excellent. The second one is excellent. The third one, where you get Mr. T and Hulk Hogan in there, it starts getting a little fun and cheesy, but it's like,
But
it's
still,
still good.
yeah.
And then you got the fourth one where he like goes to Russia and beats communism in a boxing match, and that's
That
fun.
one's my
It's-
favorite, though. I love that one.
It's the
Mickey
maybe
dies,
the worst of the 4.
and then you get the cool
But I love
montage
it.
in
It's so good. The training
Trans Am,
montage
and then him training, and then just fighting Drago in the boxing match. Was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, so
All
good.
Great stuff. Then you get the 5th one,
Yeah.
Rocky 5, and that one sucks. That is like the one
And the one I
film.
had never seen.
That's the
because
one with
no one recommends
Tommy
it.
the Machine Gun is the character's name.
Yeah.
Who was, if I remember correctly, a real boxer, a boxer in real life. At least to some extent, had a professional record, but died.
Are you going to
shortly after? I remember.
Are you going to include the
I am.
Creed?
I am, but we're
Okay,
not there
all
yet
right, not
because
there yet,
next, that's the 5. But then the 6th one is Balboa,
Right.
where it comes back like 20 years after.
Yeah, and doesn't he have like just an exhibition match with somebody just to see if he still got it?
Right, and it's like his wife has died at this point. It's just him. He's
And
got
then
his
his
restaurant,
son-
Adrian's.
Yeah, and his son doesn't really believe in him and is kind of like
played by
distanced himself.
Milo's, whose last name is really hard to pronounce. Not gonna try. But yeah, plays his son, and he befriends little Marie, the girl from the first one that he walks home. That is like now the bartender in the neighborhood and stuff, and like it all ties in really well. And he has the exhibition fight against Mason Dixon.
Right.
Mason the Line Dixon, I think is his name.
Really creative name there. But anyway.
Now that I actually say that out
Creed
loud,
1
that's a
and
really
2.
stupid name.
It is a really stupid name. I mean, the freaking Thunder Lips was a better name for Hulk Hogan's character.
But anyway,
in the third
Balboa
one.
is actually a really good movie and will make you cry.
Yeah.
As will Rocky 1 and Rocky 2.
Yes.
And then you get to Creed. Creed's really good.
I haven't seen Creed.
Oh, you've never seen Creed? Creed, like 1 is the best, then 2, and then 4, and then Creed, and then 3.
There's been how many Creed movies have there been?
2.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, boy,
Yeah, that's why there's 8 total. Like, you have the original 5 Rockies, then you have Balboa, and then you have the 2 Creed movies.
Okay.
But yeah, and like Rocky 5 is the only objective, like that's just a bad movie. Everything else, really good.
Thoughts on the Predator series?
Can't speak to it.
Really? I'm a little shocked, actually. Or what about the Alien films, then? Because I've seen all the Predator films. The first one is...
I've not seen any of the Predator movies.
The first one's good. The first one, watching, it's...
I don't think I've seen all the Alien movies either.
Schwarzenegger and...
Like, I know the premise. I know what the movie is. Obviously.
Yeah, a smattering of super buff alpha bros in the jungle shooting endless amounts of bullets at an invisible alien that carves them up one by one.
See,
Super
I don't know. Like, I can speak more to Alien. I've only not seen one.
That's
of them.
actually... Let's talk about Alien real quick, and then let's give a final closing thoughts.
I've
and then we'll
only
go from there.
not seen Alien 3. I've seen the first one.
You can
I've
skip
seen
Alien
the second
3.
one. And then I've seen... There's 1, 2, and 3. And then I've seen Prometheus. I really enjoy Prometheus. And then the one after that.
Covenant.
I really enjoyed Covenant.
Covenant was great. Prometheus was not so great.
I like both of them. Covenant, better. Definitely better.
And I think...
And I've even seen AVP.
Yeah.
Alien vs.
Everyone's
Predator.
seen Alien
because
vs.
that's the movie that
Predator.
happened. And I think I saw that in theaters too. And the direct-to-video sequel, AVP:
Requiem?
Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Requiem.
It's like a weird title because it says AVP
Yeah.
at least twice in time. Yeah,
It's strange, for sure. I've seen that one,
and I've
too.
seen it, and I couldn't tell you much about it because all I remember about the movie is it being shot too dark to really see what happens.
People screaming, lots of blood
Lots
spatters.
of stuff in a pool. They're trapped in a pool for a bit of the movie. I remember that.
Yeah, there's yeah, no, it was just somebody forgot to turn the white balance on for that one, but
Yeah.
The Alien movies, the original, I want to say the original 3, because those are the ones that contain the most cohesive narrative for the films. So you have...
Fair, because they are all directly connected to one another.
Ridley Scott's original vision for a horror thriller shot in space, which is arguably one of the best science fiction movies made in the 1970s. I believe it was right on the heels of Star Wars in 1978 or 79. It was right in there. I don't remember exactly what.
I don't know if I agree with that directly, but go ahead.
So, before that, there were horror movies, but sci-fi horror always kind of had more of a porno edge to it, especially in the late 70s and early 80s. There was a weird smattering of movies, especially like some of James Cameron's first
I'm not
movies.
a big horror guy, so I haven't seen
Galaxy of Fear, I think, was the name of it, and it was it's trash. But
okay,
yeah, the original Alien, and then followed by the sequel with James Cameron. The first one doesn't really it didn't need a sequel. It was a self-contained story. But there is a little bit of that sequel bait baked into the bones. The reason for I say it's because at the end of the movie, if you haven't seen it, it's very old, so there is no spoiler warning here. Sigourney Weaver's character escapes with the cat. And they're just jettisoned into space, and that's it. Now, you could say that there was no official plan.
They survived the movie. That was the win.
They survived the movie, exactly. And they kill the alien at the very end, supposedly. They harpoon it. The xenomorph, yes. Arguably one of the best, alien creature designs.
Wonderful. One of the best designed.
That guy was...
Geiger. I've always heard Geiger.
Okay, we'll go with that because that sounds a little bit more European.
But, yeah, the design of the xenomorphs is fantastic.
And if you look at the original artwork for the film, it was really, really dark. They kind of made it a little bit less intimidating for the screen.
Toned it down a little bit.
Yeah, and just the way that movie was shot, I would love to do a film review of how good is it really for Alien, the very first one.
We probably will at some point. I don't know how
that being said, we'll get to there. If you want to see that,
let us know.
Yeah, just let us know. But anyway, didn't need a sequel, but it was kind of teased in there, and then James Cameron came in and just made a James Cameron movie, and it was just machine guns going off, and freaking what's his name, Hicks, the guy, Bill Paxton being Bill Paxton, and the guy that I'm just so bad with names right now, but Kyle Reese from The Terminator, another James Cameron movie.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the name.
But he came in and played more or less the same character in Aliens, even with the slogan from his character in Terminator inscribed onto the side of his shotgun in Aliens, which was super cool. And that movie worked, and it made sense, because James Cameron is a good writer, and he made a good movie. But as a spiritual successor to the original Aliens, I think it enhanced it. That's the one time where I feel like two separate visions from two different directors and writers.
They have very different, not very different, but definitely different
enough.
feels.
Yes, it came in and made it better. But then three was
didn't see it.
3 was bad. No. 3 was awful. 3 didn't make sense. They killed off people they shouldn't have killed off. And then 4 was even worse, with a really young Winona Ryder, an old Sigourney Weaver, and Perlman is in it. Ron Perlman is in it because reasons. They needed Ron Perlman.
See that.
It was bad. The CGI was bad. The acting was bad. The writing was bad. The deaths were funny. It wasn't supposed to be funny. It's a horror film. You're supposed to laugh when people die. The only reason to watch that is because Winona Ryder was kind of cute in that movie. So that's the reason why Single Me watched it. I'm married now, so I can just give that disclaimer. But no, that's my thoughts on that. But you've never seen it, but you have seen the first 2.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, just before we wrap things up, as a sequel that did or did not make or break that.
The sequel did what we were talking about, where the first one does not inherently need a sequel. It wasn't setting it up in a big way. There wasn't untied, story threads that kind of dangled off and need to be tied up. But the sequel justified its existence. It took everything the first one did and kept, there's only one character to keep the same, and that's Ridley.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Newt and Corporal.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can't remember his name
Yeah.
now. But there was no
kinda,
reason they
but-
should have killed them off. But anyway, keep going.
But to keep the same transferred over, and all it did was change the feel. Like I said, it went from more of a kind of horror thriller horror. It's more of a thriller than a horror, but thriller horror film to more of an action thriller film.
Yeah. Some tense moments
Which works. Like certainly some tense moments in there because you're fighting aliens.
Right, but
That's
he
always
still
kinda
kind of
stressful.
preserved that horror vibe to it a little bit.
A little bit for sure.
But definitely
it wasn't
more
completely
of a,
devoid.
more of a shooting.
Like I said,
action
like
movie.
the action thriller.
Yes,
side
very
of
much
things.
so.
So yeah, I think of course it works as a sequel. Of course, it's constantly rated, at least from what I have read, one of the best sequels ever.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like
it spawned an entire series of video games by Sega who can't figure out how to make a good Aliens game. Literally, Alien Isolation was the only one that was worth anything, but the previous one, Colonial Marines, Sega. Really? Come on. It was awful. It was
I've
so
not
bad.
played any of them, so I
You
wouldn't
lied.
know.
You lied. Straight lied. The little like demo that it wasn't even a demo, it was just a beta that they released, and it was from E3 back in forever ago.
Okay.
And it had no HUD, and you were fighting as a group of Colonial Marines sent back to LV 426, which is the original planet from the first one and the second one. And
Right.
they give you a reason to go back, and then there was no HUD. You can't tell how many bullets you've got. There's no lights. Everything was going to be like a survival horror game, and what we got was a generic, like Call of Duty rescreen with really, really poor controls. It was just bad.
Okay.
And I forget what the reason was, but I remember they just tried to chalk it up to blamed it on the little guy, somebody that was in charge of it, creative designer or something, but whatever.
Something, yeah.
Sega. Do better.
But anyway, do sequels make or break franchises?
I think we answered it.
If
If it's baked into the bones of whatever it's sequelizing or prequelizing,
Or-
then yes.
baked into the bones, or at least, again, justified. Like, planned or justified. Like, and you could make a sequel just with the intent of making money off of it and still have it be good.
Like Blade Runner
It can still
2049.
turn out being good and have a connective story, so...
Yeah, like Blade Runner 2049. I mean, the original movie was based on a book that really loosely interpreted the book.
Yeah.
And then they took the movie, and then they made a direct sequel to it by a different director, but they justified its existence, and it made sense, and
Yeah.
it worked.
Absolutely.
So that's our answer.
So, yes and no. But
Yes
also
and no.
sometimes.
Yeah,
That's it.
sometimes. Thanks for watching. All right. So I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Fictional Critics.
Yeah, that'll be it.
All right,
We'll
thanks
see you
for
next
watching.
time.
Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications to stay up to date on all of our latest content. It helps the algorithm to boost us up, and it helps us to be able to make more content for you guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.